It's 3:15, and that means it's time for...
The Real Deal with Bill McNeil.
That's right. Welcome once again to The Real Deal with Bill McNeil. I'm your host, Bill McNeil, and you're probably wondering exactly what is The Real Deal today.
Hey, good question.
Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and not too long ago, Doug joined me here on the channel. We talked about some of the things going on within, the culture wars within comic books, but we also talked about his latest project, Soulfinder Black Tide. Now, you've done something different here, Doug, and we talked about it beforehand. You decided to forego an Indiegogo or Kickstarter campaign, and you're going about it in a new way, but it feels like you've caused some ripples within the independent comic book industry. What's going on with that?
Yeah, man. So thanks for having me back. I appreciate it. I wasn't expecting to be back so soon. It's always good to talk to you. But so yeah, Soulfinder Black Tide recently came out. It's doing really well. Our hardcovers came out with my artist Matt Weldon, colorist Brett R. Smith, Wes Hartman, and we got work by Timothy Lim, as you know. So covers by Dave Dorman. Everything's going well. But like you said, I think I receive messages here and there from people, and every once in a while people will send me videos, and I know that there are people within this sort of realm that are a little weirded out that I'm not doing Indiegogo or Kickstarter.
That was obviously a conscious choice on your part. How did you know it was time for you to be able to forego like an actual crowdfunding campaign and just produce the entire book on the faith that people were ready to buy it?
I didn't. So that's where it comes in. That's where the financial risk comes in. Is I knew the reaction to the first book. So Soulfinder Demons Match did well, and it actually had legs to it in that there was the campaign and it sold, but then afterward I still had books. And so I had people emailing me after the fact, both internationally and domestic. And then eventually it was on the Iconic Comics website and it was doing well. And so eventually they sold out of the copies that I had sent them, and they wanted more. So I was like, okay, well, this book is still doing well. Eventually I would see people that were reviewing it, not even like comics people. There would be people that are religious Catholic websites would find it eventually, and then someone would review it, and then they might tag me in a Twitter post or something along those lines, or reach out to me. And so I was like, okay, well, this seems to be doing well. I think I could retain my audience from Indiegogo. And so a combination of the traffic that's going to Iconic and then my own audience with the email list, if I sent that out, if I get a certain amount, and if the book is actually good and word gets out that, okay, this is his sophomore effort, it's also good, then I can avoid all of the Indiegogo stuff. In 2021, there was a gluttony of campaigns that came out. They were all over the place. And I had already been upset. I'd seen people, they were upset about late books, not getting them. Enthusiasm was down across the board. There's always going to be the top 5% of income earners, or whatever you want to call it. They'll do well. But across the board, there was just sort of this malaise with crowdfunding almost. And I was like, okay, well, how do you stand out amongst this crowd? I'm already printing the book. Okay, one way is to just do your own thing. If you were the everyone's zigging and you're zagging, but you actually have a good book on top of everything, and you can deliver it in a timely manner at a fair price, then you're all alone over here, and you should be able to benefit from that. Theoretically, I didn't know if that would happen, but that's what I did.
So I've been hearing from people. Obviously, I've seen your social media posts and people tagging you, and you're responding. And then, even Doc, who's a friend of the channel, he appears a lot. He said he ordered the book, I believe it was on a Thursday, and he received it on a Tuesday. So he didn't have to wait for the 60-day campaign. He didn't have to wait for, the charges to go through. He went directly to the site, and he got it within days. And it feels like a lot of people are enjoying that experience. Right.
The readers are very happy with the books arriving on time. And so it's one of these things where I don't explicitly or outwardly argue with other people, but if you're another creator and you're on Indiegogo or you're on Kickstarter, I can see where it would almost be a slap in the face to people to say, like, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing what you're like, oh, does this guy think he's better than, it's like, you're not part of the Indiegogo Kickstarter community. because you literally walked away from the community. So why should we help this guy? Why should we even talk about your campaign? Because if you're another creator and you're saying, well, I'll give you a book in 8 months, why would you then say, hey, check out this guy who's going to give you a book in less than 8 days? Because then, of course, your own readers will start to make the comparison between what you're offering and what they're offering. And so they have an incentive in many ways, I could understand, to be like, zip it. I'm not going to talk about that guy or what he's doing, because I don't want people to say, well, how come you can't lower the price? How come he's offering 112 pages of material in a hardcover for $25, but you're offering a soft cover at $30 or $35, and I'm not even shipping? Like, why are you doing that? And why are you telling me I have to wait a year, and he's telling me I got to wait a week? And so, like, I understand that, and there's like this weird tension in the air.
Really?
And I get that.
So it wasn't your goal to become a market disruptor, to go out there and try to present your product and get it to people in a different manner that might throw a wrench in some people's plans, or maybe change the way other people were thinking about the way that they can get their product out there. But it feels like you've been that, and people have taken notice, and not everybody's happy. For certain.
And there probably will be people that are not happy with you, because say you're a YouTuber whose stock and trade is having other Indiegogo and Kickstarter campaign creators on, and suddenly you're having someone on, like we're having this conversation right now, and it's like sort of an awkward conversation, because you have to say, like, I have nothing against Kickstarter, Indiegogo, on many levels. I would not have been able to do what I'm doing now if I didn't first go to Indiegogo. And my friends are like literally Timothy Lim and Mark Pellegrini are doing Kickstarter and Indiegogo. I get that. But I also wanted to give my friends the data that they need, because I believe ultimately the goal for an independent creator should be to have their own website, be able to control their own distribution, and have a system in place that cannot be disrupted by anyone who doesn't like what they're doing. And so nobody can get me off of Iconic Comics. They can get me off Indiegogo and Kickstarter if they wanted to, but they can't do it to Iconic Comics, because I know the people at Iconic and I'm friendly with them and we have a good relationship. And so if you can get to that point where you don't even need Indiegogo, if your own readers are spreading the word on various social media platforms, then I don't necessarily have to tap into an Indiegogo. And then that even gets to the question with the Keanu Reeves stuff and all the. If somebody is incredibly famous, do they even need to go on Indiegogo? Should they be on Indiegogo? I think it's a conversation worth having.
Yeah, that's the Keanu Reeves thing certainly got a lot of people upset. Now, just talking about your specific circumstance here, I don't know that everyone's going to just start foregoing Indiegogo or Kickstarter campaigns, although we'll get to the details, or what details you can give here soon. But I think a lot of people should be looking into having an e-commerce site where their books are available. That way, hey, who knows if Indiegogo might not be here in a year, or maybe you get kicked off the platform, and next thing you know, you have no ability to go and sell your wares. So I think it's absolutely imperative and a very smart thing to at least have a backup available of a way for people to go and find your product and go out and distribute it to them.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I see some people talk about this issue, but they talk about it in a way that is divorced from the quality of the book. So if you're going to do it, you have to have a quality to it. Like, you have to have a nice hardcover that people, when they get it, they're like, oh, well, the physical copy is actually better than what I saw online. So there's that. But two, you have to also be able to market yourself. So I do have my own YouTube channel. I do have my Twitter channel. Some people are not very good at marketing themselves. So there's that. And then also the website that I'm at, Iconic Comics, has existed now for a couple of years. And my work and Tim's work and Matt's work and Brett R. Smith's work has all been under one roof. So what you have is slowly building a reputation over time with people that are getting their products and liking them. And so when you have this group of creators together and people are like, across the board, these are good products, then you build a reputation and a brand. And so if you're just a random person that has a website and is like, hey, come to my website, that old SNL skit with Adam Sandler and Chris Farley, like, please buy my whatever the heck it is. It's like, then it's going to be a much harder sell. But if you've been building something over the course of time, you have that foundation that you can draw from, that is there for you. And a lot of people don't have that foundation.
All right, Doug, let's talk about, has this been successful or not successful? I've had one person, a friend of mine, actually DM me that they were upset. They might have used the word mad about the way that you were going about distributing your books, because in their minds that you were going to be losing or leaving all this money on the table. Has that been your experience? Have you seen a major drop off as far as the amount of product you're being shipped or ordered in comparison to the Indiegogo campaign at this point? Are the dollars the same? Are they up?
No. So Timothy Lim on my own channel talked about the very first 72 hours. He talked about how we were handily beating my Indiegogo performance, both in terms of overall orders and backers and in terms of dollars. So I have not talked to Iconic. Has all sorts, they have multiple businesses, basically things that they're doing. So I haven't talked to them in a few days, but the trajectory was perfectly fine. I just ordered, or I'm about to order another 800 hardcovers from our printer API. So I am very confident that we are going to sell all of these hardcovers based on the feedback that we were getting, the sales that we were seeing, knowing Iconic's sales over the course of time. So yes, I might not be able to sell all of these out in 3 months. I understand that, or like a 60-day campaign. But I know what Iconic will do over time. I know that when Tim launches a campaign, X number of people are going to see Soulfinder, read it, and like it and recommend it. I know that when Black Tide came out, a certain number of people then saw Tim's books on Iconic and bought my book and Tim's books. And so it feeds upon itself. And it's one of these things where, okay, I guess on some level you can say that I'm leaving money on the table. But if the right thing to do long term is this, then it doesn't matter, because I would rather forego, I'm just making up numbers here, $15,000, $20,000 up front within this 6 months, if over the course of the long haul, my decision is going to double and triple and quadruple that amount of money.
So you basically bet in yourself. It sounds like things are going well up to this point. You never know what the future brings. Maybe a lot of people have negative feedback, but I don't see that happening. I've actually read it. It's actually a very good book. Now, you mentioned partnering with Tim Lim, Mark Pellegrini, Brett R. Smith, Matt Weldon, Bill Williams. So you've partnered with a lot of people that have been very successful, in mainstream comics and independent comics. How important was it for you to find the right people to work with, that you could be certain that if Brett R. Smith is producing a book, that it's going to be of a quality that you yourself can be proud of? The same thing with Tim and Mark Pellegrini, obviously with their Common America, their USAGI series of Black Hops, that you were going to be on the right site with the right creators.
Right. So as I was saying earlier with this campaign, how do you stand out amongst a giant crowd of people that are all doing the same thing? They all are vying for someone's attention and their money and their resources. So with the first book, I was like, how do I do that? Well, one way is I need to surround myself with top-notch talent. Dave Dorman, Brett R. Smith. Those are guys that are established. They know what they're doing. Brett knows about fulfillment. So I didn't know anything about fulfillment. And I had to go to Brett and say, Brett, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm an ignorant goofball fool when it comes to fulfillment. You have New York Times bestseller in Clinton Cash, and you've gotten books out to people on time. So how do I do that? And I had to rely on him as a crutch.
So we had a little bit of a connectivity issue. Not sure exactly where Doug cut out, but he's gonna continue on where he was, and I'll make sure that this all kind of flows smoothly. Sorry for the interruption.
Okay, so with the first book, I wanted to stand out amongst a crowd, and so that's why I got with Timothy Lim, Brett R. Smith, Dave Dorman, people that are established names, people that I could lean on for help. And so this time around, it was the same thing. I have this relationship established with them, but there's still a need to be able to stand out amongst a crowd because there are a million different things that are, again, vying for people's attention, whether it's Netflix or Disney Plus or video games or any number of things. And how do you do that? Well, one way is to offer a good product and strike out on your own and say, I'm doing my thing. I don't know, whatever those guys are doing, I'm doing something different. You want to try something different? Because I think this is pretty fun, and take a chance, and we'll see how it goes. And it seems to be working out well.
Doug, I do want to say congratulations on your book. Sounds like the sales are doing well, even though you did forego a campaign. You're doing things your own way, and I applaud that. And I like the chutzpah that you've got on you, and really appreciate you coming on the channel and talk about it.
Cool, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Anytime.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.